And we're back for another episode of UFC Main Event Pick'em Challenge. Jon Jones defending his belt against the returning challenger, Stipe Miocic. Stipe has been off for a few years. Jon Jones has been off for a few years due to injury. And now we are getting their epic clash. So let's break them down and see who we think is going to win. Well, Jon Jones is 37 years old. He has 27 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. Stipe Miocic is 42 years old, so 5 years older. 20 wins, 4 losses, 0 draws. If we take a look at their stats, Jon Jones is 194 centimeters tall, 215 centimeters in reach, compared to Stipe, who is 194 centimeters tall and 203 centimeters in reach. So notably, Jon Jones is going to have that reach advantage, that 12-inch reach advantage. If we scroll down to their records, they both are extremely highly decorated Stipe highly decorated at the heavyweight division, Jon Jones highly decorated at the light heavyweight and heavyweight division. So Stipe fights Fabricio for Verdum, knocks him out in round 1. Then he defends his belt against Alistair Overeem, defends his belt against Junior Dos Santos, defends his belt against Francis Ngannou. Daniel Cormier comes up from light heavyweight and fights Stipe Miocic, knocks him out in round 1. Then Stipe Miocic wins his belt back from Daniel Cormier, TKOing him in round 4, and then decisions DC in a 5-round main event defending his belt. Francis Ngannou knocks out Stipe in round 2 in 2021, and for over 3 years now, about 3.5 years, Stipe's been on the sidelines just waiting to get a title shot again. And considering that his last, 8 fights have been title fights, I do believe that he deserves an immediate rematch with whoever has the belt. And Jon Jones is the guy that has the belt. So let's get into Jon Jones's record and specifically his recent record. He wins the belt against Mauricio Hua in 2011. So that's 13 years ago is when he first wins the belt. Defends it against some of the best light heavyweights of all time. In 2015, he beats Daniel Cormier for the first time. Beats Daniel Cormier, and then the no contest was Daniel Cormier also. Wow, look at all these canceled bouts against DC. Fights Alexander Gustafsson in 2018, Anthony Smith in 2019, Thiago Santos in 2019, Dominic Reyes in 2020, Cyril Gane. So in 2020, he beats Dominic Reyes and then vacates the light heavyweight belt. He thinks that he's done so much in the sport that he really can't achieve anything else. He vacates the heavyweight belt, decides to start building up his body for a run at heavyweight. Take 3 years later, he fights Cyril Gane and chokes him out in round 1. Pretty much Cyril Gane throws this big right hand. Jon Jones just slips it, ducks inside, grabs Gane, takes him down, and then chokes him out all the way in round 1. And now he's fighting Stipe Miocic. So what do these guys do well? Well, Stipe is extremely well-rounded, as you have to be at the elite level of MMA. He utilizes a great mix of striking and grappling to basically win wherever he can. Against Francis Ngannou, he took him down over and over again and held him up against the cage, tiring him out. Against Daniel Cormier, he used his wrestling to get up whenever Daniel Cormier would take him down, and then he used his boxing to find chinks in Daniel's armor where he could land shots and eventually lead to that TKO. Jon Jones, he is extremely versatile. He has a wide range of kicks, punches, elbows, knees. They call him Bones for a reason. And we haven't even started talking about his grappling. One of the things that makes Jon Jones the best of all time is his fight IQ, his ability to utilize all the different skills of his game to figure out where his opponent is weakest. And he has an uncanny ability to always pull out at the end of the fight. He always pulls out with the win. He's 37 years old. He has definitely slowed down at heavyweight versus light heavyweight, but I think that his grappling has improved greatly. And so what do I think this fight's going to be? Well, I do think that Jon Jones is going to grapple Stipe Miocic. I don't think that we're going to get a lot of striking between the two. Jon Jones might want to stay a little bit. He might want to keep his distance a little bit at the beginning of the fight, but eventually I do think that Jon Jones is going to try to take Stipe down, try to dirty box him, push him up against the cage, land elbows, land knees in the clinch, land shoulder strikes, try to take his back, try to take him down, land ground and pound, go for submissions. Stipe is going to resist a lot of that because he does have extremely strong grappling. But I do think that at range, Stipe's strikes are going to be scary enough where Jon Jones does not want to be there. And so my prediction is that Jon Jones just wears on Stipe. He does what he did to Francis Ngannou. Close the distance, engage with his grappling. He's been training with Gable Steveson, the Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. He's been training with Gordon Ryan, the consensus best jiu-jitsu athlete in the world. He is really relying on his grappling. Every time he talks about this fight, it makes me feel more and more confident that Jon Jones is going to go for grappling attacks on Stipe. And while Stipe does have great anti-wrestling, he was able to get up against Ngannou when Ngannou tried to take him down. He was able to get up against Daniel Cormier when Cormier took him down. He was able to resist Fabricio Verdum, Alistair Overeem, Junior Dos Santos when they were all utilizing their grappling to try to get Stipe taken down. I do think that Jon Jones is a different level. And what Jon Jones is able to do that a lot of these other guys weren't able to do is mix his attacks into these transitional periods during the grappling where he will go for submissions once he has a position on top and he'll go for ground and pound. But while he's taking you down, he'll be landing elbows. He'll be landing knees. He'll be landing these short, tight little punches to your face. And where those strikes might not be fight ending, they do score. And if Jon Jones can make the fight exist in that territory, that range of Jon attempting to take Stipe down and Stipe defending it, that's a winning formula for Jon Jones. So ultimately, my prediction for this fight is that Jon Jones is going to win, and I'm going to say that he wins by decision. I don't think he's going to want to put himself out there, put himself in danger, and allow Stipe the potential to knock him out. I don't think he's going to really strike at range with Stipe. I think he's going to be extremely defensive on the feet and go for these clinch situations, go for grappling, because that's where he feels the most confident. That's where he feels the most comfortable to enact his game plan while resisting Stipe's game plan. We can take a look at the odds. Jon Jones is minus 650, whereas Stipe Miocic is plus 450. If we take a look at the odds, will the fight go the distance? Will the fight go the distance? No, minus 500. Wow. I think that there is a pretty high likelihood that the fight does go the distance. If we take a look at Stipe's last fights, we had Cyril Gane. He did choke him out in the first round. But against Dominic Reyes, decision. Thiago Santos was a decision. Anthony Smith was a decision. He did TKO Alexander Gustafsson. He decisioned Ovince St. Preux. He decisioned Daniel Cormier. He decisioned Glover Teixeira. He decisioned Alexander Gustafsson again. And then before that, he did have some chokes. But again, Jon Jones doesn't have an amazing finishing record. 48% of his fights are decisions. So 50% of the time, Jon Jones goes to decision. Stipe has a great chin. He's got great anti-grappling. I think that this fight is going to go long. If we take a look at Stipe, 36% of his fights go to decision. So he is usually a little bit more aggressive in terms of beating up his opponents. He got knocked out by Daniel Cormier. He knocked out Daniel Cormier. He decisioned Daniel Cormier in the last fight, and he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou. But I don't think Jon Jones hits as hard as DC or Francis Ngannou, and where is his grappling and his submission game is lethal. I think Stipe does have the skills to resist that. So I would predict Jon Jones by decision. And just one more thing about Jon Jones. He is younger than Stipe. He is 11 pounds heavier than Stipe, weighing in at 237 compared to 248 for Stipe. So that is something to watch out for. I personally think that will allow Stipe to survive. He'll be able to better resist the grappling that Jon Jones brings. But I do think that you have to look at that fight IQ from Jon Jones and that desire to win, that inability to lose. He's always able to prove to the judges that he deserves to get his hand raised at the end of the day. And I wouldn't expect anything different in this fight. I would love it if Stipe came in there and starched Jon Jones. I would love it if we had a back and forth brawl where both men were pushed to their limits. I don't think that's going to happen. I am pessimistic going into this fight because I do think it's going to be a long, slow, grindy battle up against the cage. But I'm here for it all the same. Those are some of my favorite fights to watch, especially if Stipe is able to make it competitive. Either way, we cannot turn our noses up at getting to see the greatest fighter of all time, Jon Jones, fight against the man with the best heavyweight record in the UFC, Stipe Miocic. Let's enjoy these fights.